Welcome into Phoenix Breathwork, the podcast, Breathe to Rise. My name is Jessie and I'm your host. I'll be using this platform to share the power and magic of breathwork and to empower you to be able to transform your life as much as I have mine. I will share my experiences and will be inviting on some incredible guests to share their stories too. Look forward to guided breathwork practices and meditations to help you explore and build your own relationship with yourself and your breath. Get settled in and enjoy what's to come. Make sure to like, share and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will ensure to keep creating more. I hope you are inspired in some way. Let's breathe to rise. Hello and welcome into the next episode of Phoenix Breathwork, the podcast, Breathe to Rise. I am Jessie, your host, and I am so excited today to have on my first guest on the podcast, who is Aimee Hartley, who I hold in very high regard. Aimee is the founder of Breathing Room, founder of School Breathe CIC, author of Breathe Well, and co-founder of Oxygen. So, Aimee, I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for being here with us. I just wanted to share before we begin. So, Aimee is a very established and experienced breath worker. And actually, when I returned to the UK, having completed my training and looking to gain experience and connect with the community, Aimee's workshop was actually one of the first workshops, the first workshop actually, that I ever facilitated at. So I will always remember that experience. And, we've remained connected since then. So I'm really excited to have you here today so you can share your story, your experience with breath, and help to, shed light on how breathwork has transformed your life. So, Aimee, welcome in.
Oh, thanks, Jessie. I'm honoured to be your first guest. This is lovely. No, it's just nice to chat too.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I think my intention behind this podcast was to really have a platform to be able to share the power of breath and how it can really help you. And rather than just me talking about how it's changed my life all the time, I think it's great to put a spotlight on everyone else's experience, because it's so individual to you, right? And
totally. I think every single story is different and will be different, and that's the magic of the breath, isn't it? It's a medicine for anyone's ailments, not all ailments, but it acts in such a personal way that's what I think the beauty of breathwork is, that it can help anyone in a particular way.
Absolutely. So what I'd love to hear from you, first of all, is how it's really helped you in your journey. And, when did you find breath work? What has it done for you in your life? Because you've gone on to found several businesses, Aimee. You've written a book, which is incredible. So it's like it must have had a deep, profound effect. So can you share with us a little bit about your breathwork journey and what it's done for you?
Yeah, it's still working for me 15 years on. It's just amazing, and it changes. The breathwork practices I now practice in my personal practice have changed considerably since I first started, and I think that is the beauty of it. There are so many breathwork practices out there at the moment. I think it can be a bit of a minefield for people, because when I started breathwork or becoming a breath coach, there was 15 of us in the UK, so it was just kind of this strange underground thing that 15 of us were doing in the UK. Wow. No one knew what a breath coach was. They thought I was whenever I said I was a breathing therapist, they thought I was saying a breathing therapist, helping people breathe. And I was like, no, breathing. So I really had to explain what breathwork was. But now it's become, it's just mushroomed in the most magical way. So I think it's really important to go back to what breathwork is and which particular breathwork practices have helped me, because I'm sure you use more than one or two, right?
Well, this is it. And I'm really glad that you're mentioning this, because it's so true. Because breath work, what encompasses breath work? What does it actually mean? Because there are different ways to work with your breath. and it can bring about different things for you. So yeah, you're absolutely right. There are different practices that I will use depending on what I need. So
yeah. So when you first started breathwork, breathwork as a lone practice, I was introduced to 15 years ago by Alan Dolan, who is, amazing, and was one of the pioneers, I think, in the modern day movement of breathwork. And he was trained with Judith Kravitz, transformational breathing, and then has gone on to develop his own wonderful breathwork, conscious connected breathing, which has now become a bit of a term for lots of people doing connected breathwork, which is phenomenal. And when he introduced me to it, he told me, I had a breath analysis by him. He looked at how I was breathing, which is the first time anyone had ever done that. And I'd studied yoga for 3 or 4 years prior to that. So I thought I had breathing pretty, nailed. I was like, I'm a yoga teacher. I practice every day. I practice pranayamas. I practice breath and movement. So I must be okay at breathing. And he said, you're really not. You've got tension in your upper chest, you've got tension in your jaw. He was kind of looking at each part of my respiratory system, and he could see where I wasn't breathing into, which I found illuminating. I was just like, okay, so I've studied yoga for years and no one's looked at how I'm breathing. They've told me about a belly breath and they've told me about nasal breathing being important, but they haven't exactly looked at whether I'm doing that. It's a very, very different approach. So once he had analyzed how I was breathing, he then took me through this 90-minute introductory session of conscious connected breathing. There was acupressure that he applied. There was sound, movement, all these things going on. And when I was in the session, I was just like, my brain was like, oh, I shouldn't be breathing through my mouth because this feels wrong and against my yoga education. I let that go. I was just like, okay, I felt safe in his hands, and he was very professional. And I just thought, okay, let's just go with this. I'm only mouth breathing for a short amount of time. It's not forever. Don't overthink it, Aimee. And by the end of the session, he'd released tension in my diaphragm. I laid there on this therapist's like breath coach couch, if you like, and I was literally in this state of, there wasn't even a word for it. It was just like bliss. I was just, he said, open your eyes. I was just like, I don't want to open my eyes because I'm feeling amazing. And every part of my body was tingling. I was just vibrating. And he was like, open your eyes now, Aimee. I'm just like, can I just keep them closed for a bit longer? Because the feeling I've got right now, it was like gold. And then, so I opened my eyes eventually. He was probably quite pleased about that. But after that, I just thought, what happened? Like, what happened? That was just the breath. And the information he'd given me about my own breathing pattern really was like a bit of a light bulb moment for me, because I just thought, gosh, there is so much going on here. It's so much more than breathing in, breathing out, and controlling the breath. It's working in a really deep, profound way. So I don't know how breath coaching happened for you, but I got on the course like straight away. I was just like, this is amazing. This is just incredible. And I want to share this with everyone. And when Alan was introduced to it, by Judith, he was just like, I want to share this with everyone. And I think anyone that does transformational breath, conscious connected breathing has this real energy about them that they really want to share it with the world. So I got on the training with Judith quite quickly then, but was still teaching yoga. But through my training with Judith, she was then teaching me to look at people's breath patterns. And in my yoga classes, I realized no one was breathing well at all. So I just felt like I don't really feel like I'm teaching anything here. So anyway, I became a breath coach. And from that moment, I realized that I always thought I was quite energetic, but the breath showed me that wasn't energy, that was anxiety, which I found was, incredible. And my breath was quite a fast, shallow breath. And I lived my life in quite a fast pace. I was just like boom, boom, rushing around and not taking time to breathe. And the more I studied the breath, the more I realized that my breath was like a true reflection of how I was living life, you know, in a fast, shallow manner, as it were. And then then I realized the depths of the breath and how that could change the way I felt. And it was just magical. It was magical. But interestingly enough, I didn't really have like a drama, because I know that lots of people are asked, like, what's your story? And there was nothing particularly bad going on for me at the time I was introduced to breathwork. It was pure curiosity, pure fascination. But what was interesting is lots happened post breathwork, as in I had a child. I had quite severe postnatal depression. I had increased anxiety after that time. Other things went on that tested my resilience. And I always turned to the breath in that time to help me through those moments where nothing else much was helping. So I always feel like the breath kind of came to me at a really special time. And I can't imagine what my challenges would have been like without the breath. And I've always done things in reverse in life. Like, I've always gone against the system, and I've always gone, I never wanted to work in an office. I did for 2 years, and I was just like, oh, this is just soul destroying, get me out of here. So I made sure from the age of 23, I kind of never worked in an office again. I made a pact to myself. So whilst everyone was doing 9 to 5s, I was doing like 5 to 9s or whatever, or just doing my own thing. I was just very much going against the flow, if you like, just making sure that I wasn't doing anything that anyone else was doing, or the norm, So I always feel like with breathwork, it came to me in the opposite way than it did for a lot of other people. Like, I always feel like there was lots of other people are attracted to breathwork to help them with something, but for me it felt like a gift that came to me to then help me through the really challenging times that I then went through. Yeah, it was. And I still to this day, I don't know really where I'll be without it. Yeah, wow. I don't. It's just, there's a magic in it, and that it's still working its magic.
And that's the thing, like, it still does. Like, what you've described, Aimee, that's amazing. And I would completely agree with you when you say that, you weren't necessarily looking for something, but the breath found you almost. And it's like, I really strongly believe that it finds you when you're ready or when you might need it. And that sounds like what you're describing. It's like you weren't actively seeking it to help you with anything in particular, but when you did, it's unlocked something for you. And there's a number of things you said there that I think people would really connect with. It's that you thought that you had a lot of energy, but then when you actually broke that down or started practicing the breath work, you realized what that actually was anxiety. And the way you were living your life is how many of us, I can completely relate to that. It's like you just get on with things. You're juggling so many things, managing life, and you don't realize the impact that may be having. But when you say the breath has helped you with that, and it still does to this day, can you expand on that a little bit? Like, how does it still support you now?
Yeah, I mean, just yesterday, it made me laugh, actually. I was running up the stairs after my 7-year-old child, and I had in my hands, in my left hand, I had a business envelope, a Christmas present, and a card that I had to send. And in my right hand, I had like a bath towel, some clothes that needed to be going up to one of their rooms, and I think a cup of tea as well. I was loaded with stuff, and I was running up the stairs, and I just thought, and I had so much going around my mind. I just take a breath. So like on the 3rd step up, I literally just breathed in, breathed out, and it then wasn't a juggle. it was just a moment actually of hilarity, because I just thought I am juggling so much, but in this moment I am literally just going to take a breath. And I was with my breath, and that breath almost dissipated everything in my hands, everything that I had to do, and it was okay. So even one breath, I feel, can give you a moment of calm within a moment of chaos. And I think for me, juggling so much, that's what it does. But also, if you start your day with breath work, and I start my day every day with at least 5 minutes, I go in for 5 minutes. I used to say, right, the stats say it's 20 minutes a day that you're going to get benefits, and you must do that. And I just thought that's a pressure and that's a stress. And I just thought you don't even need that. But 5 minutes a day, I start my day off in this calmer way. Yes, throughout the day, things might escalate, but I've kind of banked that breath work. And I know that if anything does happen, I'll be responding, not reacting so much. And even one breath helps. So yeah, it helps me every single day and in every moment. I'm, interestingly enough, because I do that, my children, I picked my daughter up from school yesterday, and she had fallen over in PE, and the teacher said to me, but she took some deep breaths, she was self-regulating, and she got herself through it. And I was like, bingo. This is like, that because kids don't, I read something brilliant the other day, kids don't listen, they observe. And I just thought, by me doing those one breaths on the stairs, they know that it helps me, and therefore it will help them.
So in that one breath, like what you described yesterday, you had all of this going on, you're juggling all these things, you took that one breath that almost helped you reset, or like bring you into that calm. What's happening in that moment when you take that deep breath? Like what is it that's making you feel calm? Like how is that working?
Well, yeah, it's interesting, because you can take one unhealthy breath. You can take like a quick, short, sharp breath through the mouth, and that can have an adverse effect on the nervous system. But a slow nasal belly breath, but not just that, a conscious breath. And I think this is where we've got to be really clear. So you become totally aware of your nasal, slow belly breath. This has positive reaction on your nervous system. So I was obviously literally in fight or flight. So because I was going for flight or stairs, another way of looking at it. And so I was obviously breathing in a short, shallow way, making me feel like high energy, not anxious, but just kind of, in that sympathetic state. That one slow breath brought me into the present moment. I activated my diaphragm. That would have sent signals to the brain that I was safe, and there was no need to panic, and there was no need to rush. And I would have triggered something in the brain that just brought a nanosecond of calm, which is exactly what I needed at that time.
Yeah,
so
it's like
doing all sorts of things. But most of all, just bringing me into the present moment of, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
And that's it. And that's the power of one breath, right? Like you said, one conscious, deep, slow nasal breath to bring you back into that moment. And I love what you're saying about your own practice as well. Like, even though you may have completed your breathwork training, you've been practicing this for a number of years. It's like, okay, 5 minutes a day, that's what I need to keep me in this practice.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do when I first started and was introduced to it, I used to do like an hour a day, and I was, when I had the time, and that was equally transformative and amazing. And yeah, all sorts of the conscious connected breathing anyway, as you know, it's different every time, and it brings up different things all the time. But as life's gone on, I've realized that conscious connected breathing I still practice, but not daily. But it's those one breaths, and it's those slow breaths, and it's the breath practice that you can weave into your everyday that really, really helped me in this moment. I'm sure I'll go back when I've retired to just doing conscious connected breathing, and for hours, and when you've got the time, you can do it.
Yeah, but then, like you said, the beauty and the power of the breath is that you can work with it as you need it. It's like you've got this toolkit of breathing exercises and breathing practices that you can then pull on that experience and those techniques as and when you need it. So if you needed to, I'm sure you would sit and do a full hour's connected breathwork practice, but day to day, you're like, okay, this is supporting me. This is what I need. And it is the consistency that's going to help you maintain that and keep that balance. And I guess that's really important for people listening, because if they're looking to explore breath work or they're starting out with breath work, you know, I get asked this all the time. I don't know if you do, Aimee. They're like, what should I be doing and how often? And will that mean this? And will I get this result if I do this much? And da 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 da. And it's completely individual to you. So it's like, start where you are, find a practice that works for you. And even if it's 1 minute a day, build it up to 2, build it up to 3, build it up to 5, and find that flexibility, but allowing it to fit into your life. So it's becoming a lifestyle habit, not just something you go to when you're at, you know, you reach that end of the line, you're like, I can't do this anymore, you're in complete stress. And it's like, it's great for that, obviously, but it's like managing it day to day and supporting you on a daily basis.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a really interesting question, because I think there is an interesting point, that there's so many breathworks out there. People don't know what to do, but what people should, what I highly recommend people do is just check in with how they are breathing, because there's so many dysfunctional breath patterns out there. Unless you're breathing in a healthy way first, any breath practice, you're only going to get a small percentage of the benefits from. So if you're a mouth breather, upper chest breather, and jumping into a cold ice bath, that's only going to give you a small percentage of the benefits that ice bath and that particular breath pattern can give you. It's so important, and this gets lost just because there are so many different breathwork practices out at the moment. But the healthy breathing is key, like in through the nose, diaphragmatic breath, slowing the breath down. I mean, I've, you know, as you've seen thousands of clients, and how many people are breathing well? No one.
And that's it.
Children, adults. We've all got room for improvement, but I think if you start with the healthy breathing and then build from there, you know, as Judith taught us both, you know, it's the unique breath patterns. Everyone breathes in a completely unique way, which is fascinating. And if you don't have a breath in your diaphragm, you don't really have a breath. So you can't have a breath practice without a healthy breath first.
And that's so key. So thank you for highlighting that. It's like, people want to jump into a practice, and, you know, as breathwork has grown, people are more curious and they want to, you know, experience it, and they want to get the results they might see other people having. But it is remembering it's completely individual for you, and it's okay to just start, like you said, with that breath awareness, and starting to recognize your breathing pattern, understand your breathing pattern, and then start to work from it where you are. It's like meet your breath where it is.
Lovely. Yeah. I love that. And then build from there. But I think we do, going back a bit, we definitely need another phrase for toolbox. Like,
okay.
And Swiss Army knife. Can we, because I've heard this expression before, I was like, can we just come up with something a little bit more elegant?
Like, okay.
I don't know. Like, not a makeup bag, but something slightly more feminine than a toolbox and a Swiss Army knife.
An assortment?
But a chocolate box.
Okay.
A chocolate box. That's quite nice. Chocolate box, different types of breathworks.
Yeah, there you
go.
go.
Now that appeals. Like, oh, I feel like calming myself down and becoming a bit smooth. I'm going to have a caramel breath.
Oh, I like that, Aimee. You're onto something here.
There we go. Chocolate box of breath exercises.
Oh my goodness.
It's going out before Christmas.
Yeah, there you go. You heard it here first, everyone. You heard it here
by
first.
Cadbury's. Only joking.
Oh, brilliant. Aimee, tell us a little bit about how you work with people at the moment. You know, are you seeing clients one-to-one? Are you running sessions? How are you working with people on the breath?
Oh, it is like a chocolate box, actually. Funnily enough. So I work with one-to-ones online on Zoom, which I love, because people are in their own homes and they are really relaxed, and you can, I'm sure you know this is what you can, on Zoom you're at an angle, like you're literally at an angle that you would never see in a personal one-to-one. Like sometimes the laptop's on the floor, so you've got like this brilliant view of their bellies, and you can really see different angles of the breath, which is great. So one-to-ones I see online, and corporates online. So we breathing large corporates, and one-to-ones in person. So I've got a small breathing room in the Wye Valley, so people come here for one-to-ones, and that's really lovely. Small group classes, school breathe. I'm training people to become breath coaches to teach children how to breathe, which is my total passion project.
Absolutely
And
incredible.
oxygen, obviously, with your beautiful self, we are breathing the corporate world. So yeah, a real chocolate assortment of different breath. I'm sure there's others as well. I'm just like, yeah, so one-to-ones, corporate, schools, children. Yeah, it's lovely. It's really lovely.
Amazing, because I think I remember when you launched School Breathe program, and I was like, wow, like you're taking breathwork into schools, because it's one of those things that I would say at some point, imagine if we had access to this in school, and now you're actually doing that. You're taking breathwork into school.
Yeah, how would it have helped you if we'd have had breathwork at school? How do you think it would have helped you?
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? I think it would have helped. The first thing that comes to mind is my confidence. So I think I was fairly confident. I was head girl at one point as well.
Were you? Oh, you are. Oh, I can see that now.
I don't even know what that
That's
means.
amazing. That means you're amazing, and you're shiny, and
you're so kind.
yeah.
But I think that under the surface, there was probably something I was always comparing myself to others, wanting to fit in. Am I doing well enough? All the pressures, the normal stuff you go through. And I guess having breath work would have probably helped me to keep that connection to myself, or build that connection to myself, where I'm not starting that comparison at such a young age, because then you carry that through life. And pressure of performance, of exams, of friends, do they like me, do they not like me, my friends, all that, things that would bother you in school. So I think if I'd been able to have that connection to my breath and that relationship to my breath, it would have started to support me at that age, and realize that I am my own person, and that's okay. I don't need to be like everybody else, and really own that individuality and know that it's okay. And to start at that age, as well, right? If you consistently stay with your practice, that is where you get the benefits. It's like it's building that muscle. It's like that training, right? You see the benefits the more you do it. And to start from that age, it's ingrained in you. It's like you've got that with you all the time to lean back on and rely on, and to support you. So I think it would have been incredible to have an access to in school. The fact that you're offering that now, and
I know, it's very exciting. It is, and just hearing the kids' feedback is it's so beautiful. Just the way we're just hearing back, just saying, it is helping me through exams. And we just heard from this one child the other day, and they said breathwork helped me the most when the school captain results were being read out, and they obviously really wanted to become school captain. And then she said, when my name wasn't called, I took a deep breath and I was okay. And moments like that, it acts as a support for children, and they're self-regulating, they're teaching each other, they're reminding the teachers when to breathe. So they're picking up. What's amazing as well is they're picking up on when other children are anxious or stressed, or the teachers are. So they are, because they're aware of their breath, they're aware of other people's breathing as well. Even though they're only practicing breath work, there's like little mini breath coaches going around. And they're so creative as well, children. They're a real they're a source of inspiration for me. They're so connected to their breath, and I think sadly they do lose that connection with their bodies and their breath when they do start school, because they go from sort of running around and being free, and then they're sitting down for 6 hours a day. And they're concentrating lots, but they're not moving enough, they're not breathing enough, you know, they're not being taught the fundamentals. Don't get me started on this, but yes, there is it's, you know,
I
that
hear you.
we need a new education system, and breathwork needs to be a core part of that. That's where I'd like to be going with School Breathe. It's yeah, we need to, we're doing what we can with the resources we have,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
think
great, you know, it's the results are being shared with us from the children and the teachers have just said it's phenomenal, you know, what a simple practice can do for a child and a classroom.
yeah, absolutely. And
Mm.
things that we may also need to be aware of is how different school is for children now than it was for when we were in school, right? There's certainly different pressures and anxieties and things that they're dealing with.
100%. I mean, just tech alone is a whole minefield. I mean, everything that we've gone through in the last couple of years, everything, yeah, the pressure is skyrocketed, and there's no you know, teachers aren't trained in mental health. I think that's changing slightly, but they're not trained in mental health. So to give them children a tool to help them, you know, with their emotions, with their feelings, with their concentration, just through their breath, and it's their practice. We're teaching them something, we're offering them something, but we're not, then they can practice on their own. So it's really empowering for children to have something that they can do for themselves, and they feel immediate results.
And that's it, immediate results.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
I am in full support, as you know, of this. So I'm just so happy that you're doing it and reaching children in school. So thank you.
No, thanks for being a part of it, because you're on our online program.
Oh, yes, that's true.
You very kindly. So when we first started it, we created the online program, and we've got quite a few breath coaches, one of which is your true self. So they love you, Jessie. So the feedback of Jessie is great. So it's just like, it's good.
I'm so happy to hear that. So no, it's brilliant. So there's, you know, everyone needs to breathe. Everyone needs to breathe. And the fact that you do that individual work, you know, you reach people one-to-one and in groups, you're reaching people and children in schools. And now we have launched Oxygen, which is specifically corporate. So
very
breathing
exciting.
life into the workspace, Aimee, that is what we have come together to create. So I'm so excited about this. Did you want to share a little bit about Oxygen and what we're creating here?
Yes. I mean, I just love the fact that we're doing it together, because obviously we've met through breathwork, and we haven't worked directly with each other, have we, as in a breathwork capacity before? And you've been part of School Breathe, and you come to workshops, and we did the Natural History Museum together, didn't we? You supported me in that. So we've collaborated, but we haven't launched anything together. So I'm so excited that we both had, it was like the same idea on the same day or same week, and then we just thought, why are we doing this? Why don't we do it together? And then it all came up. So we've both had a lot of corporate experience, and both love the working for the you know, the corporate world, and have had experience in it, or you much more than I. But so we had a breathe, didn't we? Because we were just like, what's this all going to be? So what did? We breathed on it, and we came up with the name Oxygen through the breathe. And then our meetings have been breath work, which has been, you know, the core of what we're doing. And we had our first corporate job the other day, didn't we? So we had an amazing session where you led it, didn't you? So you tell us a bit about that, Jessie, just the experience of your first, not corporate job, but your first Oxygen corporate job.
The first Oxygen corporate job. I know, I'm so excited about this as well, because I'm echoing everything you've just said. But you know, the corporate, I don't know, machine as it is built in such a way that there isn't that, well, when I was working in it, there wasn't space for me to take time for me. And it was just, you were in that energy where you would just get on the go all the time, and I couldn't switch off. So it's really important to have that. So the fact that we can now offer these things is wonderful. So this session that I ran last week for Oxygen was brilliant. So it was with a large company, and they had an away day or a team day, and it was bringing their staff from all over the country in.
The world, didn't you have people zooming in as well?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know, actually, on reflection, I was thinking about this at the weekend because I had a couple of other online sessions, and in the space of 2 days, I was able to reach 400 people with breathwork. And I'm just like, the impact that could have. And in these sessions, what we're sharing, so I believe your format's the same as mine as well. It's like we are teaching about the power of the breath, but also practical, easy techniques that people can use day to day, anywhere that they are, be it on the commute, be it at their desk, be it, you know, on a break, before a meeting, and anywhere at all. And to take them through a guided experience during that session, they can feel it in themselves immediately. And the feedback and the response is incredible. So
amazing.
I always feel so blessed to be able to be in the position where I can share this with people in the corporate space now, because I often say that I had to leave because it got too much for me and it was impacting my health in a negative way. So I needed to remove myself from the situation. But if I'd had access to the breath or the techniques that I do now, back then, it would have been a really different story. So it's just, I'm just so excited about how we can just reach more people and share this, because if you can change the way your day looks at work and how you respond to stress, how you manage stress, and how that is in your life, then it's going to start to filter out in every aspect of your life. It's not just going to improve your work space, but also your personal life, your home life, your, you know, how you feel in yourself. It's going to start to have a knock-on effect for everything. And I just think that you don't realize the potential of it until you're doing it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's so powerful, Aimee. And I'm just so excited that, like you said, we're doing this together, which feels just so divinely guided. Like you said, we just came together with the same idea at the same time.
Well, yeah, and as breath coaches, you do work alone because it's an individual job, and I think that's what I also love about School Breathe as well and Oxygen, is that we're collaborating, and I feel like breathwork does that. It brings you together as well with a community of people that you wouldn't necessarily have crossed paths with in your normal life, and I just feel like it's really nice for the breath coach community as well to come together and work on projects together for the wider good of the community, be that in schools, be that in the corporate world. We all need this.
Yes,
even breath coaches need breath work, you know, as we know. Yeah, we all need this. And I think change can happen on a deeper level if you work together with the right people. And I feel like that's what we're doing.
We all have our own thing to offer, even though it's still the breath that we're working with. We bring it to the world in our own way, and we connect with people in our own way. So
yeah, that's lovely. Yeah.
Well, I feel that there's people that will be drawn to work with you, and there'll be people that are drawn to work with me just because of who they connect with. You know, it's just, we're so individual, we're so unique. You know, everyone is. So I guess, it's great to be able to offer from everyone. So,
and other breath coaches too. So what I'm really excited about as well is that we have, because we have been breath coaches for so long, like the you know, 50, when did you start? 8-9 years ago, 10 years ago?
2017.
Yeah.
Certified,
so 8 years ago. Maths is not my forte. Anyway, a long time ago.
Yes.
So between us, we know lots of other amazing breath coaches as well, don't we, with other talents and other talents. So I feel like what's very exciting is that if companies come to us, and I get approached, as you do, and we do get approached by a lot of companies, and if we feel like someone else would be more suited to that culture and more suited to that corporate space, we will offer them a breath coach for that space. So it might not be me, it might not be you. We just think, it could be you know, one of the many breath coaches we are connected to and who are with us, as it were.
Absolutely.
So that's really exciting as well, because as you say, people are will connect with a particular personality. And I think that's really important, because if the breath work is delivered by someone that you're not truly connecting with, then you're only going to learn so much. But if you truly connect with the person, then more lessons are going to land in a better way.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. So here we go. 2024, oxygen has landed.
Oxygen has landed. It really
has.
Yeah,
So
it's exciting. And yeah, watch this breathing space.
watch this
Watch this workplace. Workspace. Yes. Yeah.
So Aimee, tell us now. So breathing room is your business. We've got the school breathe, we've got oxygen, but we also have, I say we, you have your book, Breathe Well.
Yes, yeah, launched 2 months before lockdown, which wasn't the best time to get it into bookshops, but it's lovely. I do like my Breathe Well book.
I do. I have a copy of that myself as well.
It's it's a real lovely dip in, dip out book. Full of 75 different breath exercises to help you through your workday and to help you through life.
I wonder, Aimee, if you have a copy of that there, would you like to maybe share one of those with us?
Oh, shall I? Yes, shall I just flick the book and then see what?
Why
see
not?
what
If you want to, maybe share one of your breathing exercises with us from your book. That would be wonderful. I'm sure our listeners would love that.
Okay, so the page has landed on Tech Neck Reliever, which might be quite apt for this. Shall I just read the 2 pages?
Yes, do please.
Okay. The light's quite dark in this room now, so I can't quite see. But I'll see what happens. So Tech Neck Reliever. Look around any busy city and you will see a vast number of people with their chins on their chest, gazing down at their phones. This modern day phone pose puts an unhealthy strain on the back of the neck muscles and weakens the scalene muscles. They're the muscles at the front of the neck. With the majority of us being distracted by all forms of technology for up to 5 hours a day, I think that's doubled since I wrote this book. That's an astounding 4,000 breaths. That's 4,000 breaths in 5 hours. It can be surprisingly easy to forget to take a full, healthy breath. A lack of oxygen delivery to these muscles results in knots and tension being stored within these supporting respiratory muscles. So all forms of tech, for all their greatness, can literally be a pain in the neck. Practice this exercise before and after using your phone. So the following exercise will help release tension in the neck, promotes a nasal breath, strengthens the scalene muscles, and improves the facial muscles as well. And I think I've got a quote in here from Max Strom as well, which I absolutely love, which is that technology is a brilliant server, but a dangerous master, which rattles around my head quite a bit. So let's breathe.
Let's breathe, please.
Whether you are standing or sitting, make sure your feet are planted evenly on the floor. Take your time. Tilt your chin upward enough so that you can feel a gentle stretch in the front of the throat. These muscles tend to sag a little when you have your chin to your chest. Just tilting the chin gently upwards. Take the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth and find the hard palate. Then slide the tip of the tongue back a little further and you'll find a softer palate on the roof of the mouth. Apply enough pressure with the tip of the tongue to the roof for you to feel a lift in the front of the throat. Feel a slight movement here as you move the tip of the tongue backwards from the hard roof to the soft palate. This movement you feel at the front of the throat is your hyoid bone or tongue bone, the only bone not attached to another. If you find it tricky to connect to a belly breath and the finer movements of the neck muscle, place one hand on your lower belly now and lightly place your fingertips of your other hand just below the chin. Pulsate your tongue on the roof of the mouth. Notice the muscles below the chin move. This will enable you to feel the entire landscape of your respiratory system moving outwards with each breath. Take a nice slow breath in through the nose now. Can you feel the belly rise? And as you breathe out, can you feel the belly fall? Keep your head tilted backwards, chin upwards. Take a full, slow, lengthy inhale through the nose. Breathe in a little longer than you normally would. And apply gentle pressure with your tongue to the hard roof of the mouth. Release the pressure of the tongue as you exhale slowly through the nose. Breathing in slowly through the nose, applying a little bit of pressure to the roof of the mouth. Breathing out through the nose slowly as you release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. We're going to breathe 2 more times in this way. Breathing in slowly through the nose, applying pressure to the soft palate of the roof of the mouth. Breathing out slowly through the nose, releasing the tongue down. Last final breath here. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Belly rising. Breathing out through the nose. Belly falls. Bring the chin back to a neutral position. Make sure that the tongue is still on the roof of the mouth. Notice how you feel.
Oh, wow. I think I needed that.
Yeah, the tongue position is so important for your breath. Most of our tongues lay on the bottom of our mouth, and 75% of the surface of the tongue should be on the roof of the mouth. So that's a good practice for strengthening your tongue muscles and encouraging a nasal breath.
Yeah, really great. And it's interesting because when you can do that, you can really feel the muscles in the neck as well. Yeah. So that was great. Thank you so much, Aimee. I loved that.
You're welcome.
So that is in your book, Breathe Well, which is full of other incredible breathing exercises as well. Can you share with us where people can get their hands on a copy if they'd like to?
They can. Most local bookshops, I like to send people to Hive website, which supports local bookshops. So I like to mention that. But it's on all the big guns as well. So, yes.
We'll share the details of that in the podcast notes, as well as all of Aimee's details and where you can reach out to her directly. And just wanted to thank you, Aimee, for giving us your time today and sharing your experience and your stories and what you're doing with the breath, because I think it's all incredible. Is there anything else you'd like to add or share before we bring this episode to a close today?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I've loved it. It's been lovely chatting with you. And just, yeah, it's amazing what you're doing as well, just with the podcast and just reaching people in different ways. As you say, it's so important. And I love the fact you're brilliant on this. And I just love the fact that there's been a calling in you to create a podcast and you're doing it. And yeah, just thanks very much. And I can't wait to work with you more in 2024.
Yay. Second all of that. Thank you so much, Aimee. It means a world to hear that. And like I said, we'll be sharing all of Aimee's contact details in the podcast notes, but do reach out to either of us directly if you have any questions, anything resonated with you in this episode. And we'll be back soon with more. Thank you. Thank you for listening today. If anything resonated, then let us know below. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard, then please remember to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep reaching more people to spread the endless benefits and transformations we can experience through breathwork. I'll see you in the next episode.